What's up, guys? Welcome to the Horror and Gore Horror Movie Podcast. It's your host, Dakota. I'm always joined by my best friend and co-host, Goobs. What's up, Goobs? How you doing?
So, man, doing good. Happy to be here. Another week down, so excited to go.
You done anything big this week?
Nothing really. Same thing. Just trying to keep my daughters occupied during summer. I did get my car back from the shop, so that's a big deal. Finally got my main car up and running. So it's a good week.
Hell yeah. It's just been the same this week. Work, busy, watching a lot of movies. But with that being said, let's get right into this episode. So, Goobs, what have you watched this week?
So it was a very short week, but I watched a new independent film that came out on VOD called The Garden of Eden. And it's definitely brutal. It has a lot of gore, and it's all practical, which is really cool. So I watched that one, and then I watched one of my most anticipated films of this year, and that was 28 Years Later. And you'll hear more about that later.
So for me, I only watched 3 movies this week. Like Goop said, it was a short week. So I watched 28 Days Later, 28 Years Later, and 28 Weeks Later, finally. So I knocked out the whole entire trilogy.
Yeah.
So let's just get right into our movie news this week. So Goobs, if you want to start us out.
Yeah. We actually got a full Toxic Avenger trailer for the new Cineverse release coming up, and it looks amazing. It's a full trailer just filled with everything you know and love about Toxie. What did you think of the trailer?
I thought it was really good. I got a lot of questions I want to ask you about this whole entire trailer because, of course, I've never seen the original. So is there a lot of similarities between the original and this one?
It's been so long since I've seen the original, to be perfectly honest. But as far as the tone with the blood and the gore, with it being a trauma film from the OG, it's probably going to match the tone where it's going to be ooey gooey and a lot of practical effects. And I'm glad we finally got to see what's his name? Why can't I think of it?
Elijah Wood?
Yeah, I was going to say Frodo. But yeah, I'm glad we finally got to see him in the trailer and like that whole character. And then, of course, the kind of a little bit more with Peter Dinklage. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I really like the trailer because, of course, like you said, we get Elijah Wood in there. We get, of course, more Peter Dinklage. We actually see him talk in his Toxie uniform. We get
Yeah.
Kevin Bacon in this, a lot of Kevin Bacon. We get, I think, like 1 or 2 images of Jacob Tremblay in this, but you get the story. We actually get a story to this because a lot of it was just some of the stuff that they were throwing out, like the diner scene, or the hamburger joint scene.
The burger joint.
And we got more of that, and it looks like it's going to be brutal, gnarly, everything. It's going to be what Cineverse is. I think Cineverse is going to be now, especially when they put in theaters. I don't know about unrated because we were to talk about some of the upcoming projects they're going to have later. But like the brutality of what they have with this and Terrifier, top notch, worldwide release. So definitely going to be seeing this opening weekend, and definitely go try to be watching. Watch those other ones in the franchise for the first time before this one, just to get a little taste of what this movie's going to be.
Yeah, definitely. And I love what Cineverse is doing with their trailers. I think they should normalize showing the brutality in the trailer just to kind of get a little bit of sense of the tone. Don't give us plot, but you can give us the blood. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think they did go with this Terrifier. I really didn't want nothing Terrifier. I think that was a surprise for all of us. to show that. It showed some, but not as much. But this one, I think I wonder if you agree with these thoughts. This movie was put on the shelf for 2 years after Fantastic Fest, right? Because
Yeah.
every studio said this movie is not marketable. It's not. It's not, it's too violent to put in theaters. Yeah,
Yeah.
but Cineverse picked up. I was wondering if they showed a lot of this in the trailers to show to the people about this, about how violent it's going to be, to prepare the people, to tease the people of why these studios don't want it.
Yeah. I mean, I get why they looked at it saying, it's too violent. And I think with Terrifier, it definitely made it to where even if it has a ton of violence in there, people will still go see it that want to see it. And it is a money maker.
Because let me see, I kind of want to see how much Terrifier 3 made again, because that was the first ever
Wasn't
worldwide
it?
release.
Wasn't it 90 million?
Let me see real quick.
Or pretty close to, because I know the budget was like 2.5 million.
Because
And
was that? Oh, sorry. You can go real quick.
no, and I just think that I think it was 2.5 million budget, and they made 89 million or something.
90 million. You got right
90
on the
million.
dot. Um, because it shows like this is the first. Yeah, Terrifier 3 was the first like nationwide release that was unrated, and if that can get $90 million, and that's just a new franchise in its third film. Think of what the Toxic Avenger can do with. I think it has 5 films. The original
I think so, something like that.
did. Of course, I think they had like a little TV show. Then, of course, this is the reboot, and hopefully, if this does good, maybe they can continue with sequels and stuff, especially behind Cineverse now.
Yeah, and Cineverse also did the remake of Street Trash, and they have their hands in a lot of different buckets, and they've already redone a 80s classic. So if anybody's going to do it and pick it up, and it's going to be them.
Yeah, most definitely. So for our second piece of news, Spirit Halloween. We're about in Spirit Halloween season very soon. I was thinking because I was watching one of my old videos from last year's, like one of the haul videos. I'm thinking 50 days. We're about 8 weeks away from Merely Spirit Halloween open. So they got some news. So if you guys know those little like, I would not say they're not glass, but like plastic baby dolls that they had Michael Myers, Ghostface, Leatherface. They didn't have Jason or
Did they
Freddy.
have? Wasn't
I
one
wish
of
they
them
had,
Sam?
yeah, they got Sam, and of course last year they brought out Art. So speaking of that, if you guys want know what I'm really talking about, I will show you guys. So this is what I'm talking about. If you guys are watching the video version, if you guys are not watching the video version, head over to the video version to see this. So this is what I'm talking about. But to make it easier for I think a lot of people to get them that don't have enough space, which actually will help me now, is that they're releasing all of them, which they already released them. They're on the website, and they I think will be in the store hitting mid-August. Mini size ones of all those people. So Michael Myers, Art the Clown, Leatherface, Ghostface, Sam. Hopefully they could bring Freddy and Jason out this year for the minis and the large scale, which I am still going to probably get Art in the mini if I get the rest of the others in minis,
Yeah.
just to have all of the collection. Like I really want to Art, but finding out now that there's minis, like I'm gonna wait to see what they look like in stores first before I purchase them, because I don't want to purchase them online, get them, and they be like bigger than I thought for a mini. Because the only space I could think I could put them probably right up here, like take these popcorn buckets down, put them right up here. So, but if you guys want them, because I know some of our friends wanted the Art one, and couldn't get art last year. So if you guys want
Yeah.
art this year or any of them, go check online if you guys want to, or wait till August to pick them up in stores. So, Goobs, if you want to do our third piece of news.
So after tons of hearsay on this dang show, Camp Crystal Lake TV show finally has started to film. I feel like this show has been in limbo for 2-3 years now. So I'm finally glad that they have actually started to film, which means we're actually going to get it.
Ooh, has it been? Yeah, I was thinking 3 years. Yeah, it's been 22. I'm still thinking I'm in 24 and like 2 years was 21.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. It's a coincidence that it's Friday the 13th and we dropped our episode last week. And after this, they started filming this up. So it looks like Victor Miller and Sean Cunningham got over their predicament, at least for this. And like we
Yeah.
said last week, it looks like they want to make a movie also with Jason. We don't know if it's called Friday the 13th or if it's just going to be called Jason, which I'm excited for this because, of course, if they can tie this into a movie, and I think they could deep dive more into the story because I think Friday the 13th is good, but it's a little bit too rushed. We don't know about Pamela that much. And I think with this series, we're going to learn about Pamela. I bet you we
Yeah.
see the whole predicament of everything that happened with Jason, like her seeing Jason drowned and like what's happening. I bet you we even get like before even that, like the effects of Jason at the camp.
Yeah.
And because I bet you he's probably bullied by the kids for looking the way he is. And of course, Pamela's there to look after him. And of course, she's going to go crazy after her son is
Yeah.
killed and start killing all these counselors. So, for our fourth piece of news, it looks like Sinners will be going on HBO Max, which they have rebranded Max back to HBO Max, which they should never change in the first place. It'll be released on July 4th, Independence Day. So all you people that didn't get to see Sinners in theaters or didn't want to buy the digital version right now, you guys will see it free if you got HBO Max subscription on the 4th of July. Goops, you want to go for our fifth piece?
Yeah. So fifth piece, so we got the Descent novelization is releasing in October. Now, The Descent is one of my favorite movies ever. Did you watch it yet, Dakota?
No, okay. I saw this news, right? I just saw it today when I was making this. And I'm shocked because that movie was released 20 years ago.
I think it's 2009, right?
No, it was two. No, 9 was Descent 2. Because remember, Overlooked showed the 20th anniversary.
Yeah, never mind. Goodness.
So it's so weird that they're making a novelization of the film 20 years after, because a lot of films get the novelization when besides Terrifier 2, like when they normally drop, like Black Phone 2 got the novelization.
Yeah.
Taka's Avengers gonna get its novelization by Caesar this year.
Yeah.
I think before even the movie releases. Like a lot of movies get that, but it's so weird that they're doing 20 years afterwards, which for the people that haven't seen the movie, probably is good because I bet you they put more detail into the book.
Yeah, probably. Like I said, the movie's terrifying. I can only imagine what more description and everything that they could get into the book or into the novelization of it, because you can put a lot more stuff in words than show on screen, you know?
And to be honest, if you want to, you can. I was thinking something. What about if you could do the novelization right, add a little bit more detail, and you can like retcon like a sequel to it, like Lionsgate could,
Yeah.
and like skip two, but of course I think I've heard that too, like brings back another character, so I don't know how they're going to do with that. But are you going to be picking this up when the show
Oh,
is out?
that'll definitely be on the list of of stuff to get for sure. So much stuff coming out in October.
Definitely, I'm probably going to get this. I'm going to watch the movie before I think about picking it up though.
Yeah.
So for our next piece of movie news, Return to Silent Hill is finally getting release date. So it's getting released on January 23rd of 2026. So this is next January. And it's going to be released by Cineverse. So this is why I was going to say, Goops, with the unrated, I think it's still going to be rated R. I don't, unless if it's unrated, and that's why Cineverse picked it up. But we're going to have 3 weeks of absolute bangers probably coming out in January. January 16th, 28 years later, The Bone Temple comes out on the 16th of January. The 23rd, this comes out. And the 30th, the new Sam Raimi movie comes out. So definitely gonna be a good week in January.
Yeah.
So how you feel about this? Because I know you're a fan of Silent Hill.
Yeah. So, like I said, I love the first movie. Second one isn't too bad. Like I said, there's just a lot of CGI. The games are still terrifying as shit. So I'm excited to see what they do with a more up-to-date version. And do you know who's doing this one?
I think it's the original director of the first one.
Yeah, I didn't look into it too deep, but I'm excited for it. And going back to the same thing, Cineverse, it's becoming one of the heavier players in the kind of, I don't want to say extreme, but they know how to go. They know how to go hard.
Do you think it's kind of like, I'm just going to say extreme, like an extreme version of like what Neon and A24 are?
Yeah, I would say, because I don't think a lot of Neon and A24 would put out a lot of or really anything like Cineverse has. They're more on the elevated horror type, it seems, at least. You know what I mean?
Because I think the only thing that can match them is the monkey from Neon.
Yeah.
But besides that, like you said, it's more of the artsy, like elevated type of horror than this. Because because if you look at this, you got this, you got Toxic Avenger, you got Terrifier 3, and probably Terrifier 4. Then you're gonna have the next movie we're gonna be talking about also. And it just looks like they're, ever since Terrifier 3, it looks like Cineverse has the name now. Not even 3, but like 2, because 2 got the unlimited release again, expanded a little bit, but 3 really pushed that theatrical worldwide release with them. And I think also probably Bloody Disgusting also.
Yeah. Definitely. And then speaking of Cineverse, Silent Night, Deadly Night reboot gets a full release date of December 12th of this year, and it will be an unrated film, which I'm pretty excited for, because it won't allow them to, it will allow them to release the movie how they intended it to. Just like with Damien Leone releasing Terrifier as an unrated film, it allowed him to do what he wanted to do, how he wanted to do it. So I'm excited for that.
I'm actually excited for this because me and some of our friends were talking, I think it's when they first announced this, that I think one of the producers for Terrifier 3 is attached to this.
I think so.
So that is already, plus their boss of Rowan Campbell's playing the antagonist in this.
God, I can't remember his name. Like, I can't.
It's not Billy. Is Billy the first one or is that the second?
I think it's Bill. I think.
Yeah, it might be Billy.
Yeah.
Because, of course, second's Garbage Day.
Yeah. I hope they make a reference. I don't know why.
Have you seen the picture they already have of Rowan Campbell? He's looking in the mirror. He reminds me a lot of kind of like Corey Cunningham. But before you guys say anything, this is what I'm gonna go. You know how Corey looked menacing and like deranged as shit before he became like copycat Michael Myers. That's what he looks like in this. He's looking in the mirror. He's looking terrifying. He's looking deranged. He's looking like he's about to fucking slaughter a whole Christmas family.
Hell yeah.
Which excited for that because I think that's the only Christmas horror movie that we're actually getting in December this year. Or any horror movie, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Then we're gonna go right into it. You probably guys gonna get around me now. Blumhouse has officially got the rights for Saw. Like it done deal. Twisted Pictures handed over to them. Like we said before, it would be part owned by Blumhouse, part owned by Landscape. I still don't like this because they kind of have said this is going to be a reboot. So Tobin Bell is not going to be in this next one. It's going to be a whole different thing. So Tobin Bell as John Kramer is probably no more. So Saw X is the last time you will ever see him in this franchise. But the good thing is that James Wan and Lee Winnell actually have this in their hands now, especially James Wan. And he already has said him and Lee Winnell are thinking of stuff to do with this thing. So I'm thinking we will get an announcement next year or in 2027 that there's going to be a Saw movie releasing. I'm not shocked if we don't get in 2028 or 2029. Which I'm excited for because it's a new Saw movie, and it's about not directed, but it's be in hands of James Wan and Lee Winnell, which I don't care if either one of them direct. Like they're both good at that because they both were attached with the first Saw, and that like shaped like horror for like the early 2000s, especially with that twist. Which I'm hoping they can have another antagonist if they're rebooting it and not do a remake of John Kramer again.
Yeah.
And make a whole new franchise of like Blumhouse.
Yeah. They have a lot of options, that's for sure.
Do you think this is good, Goobs?
Honestly, I don't see it being good or bad. I just kind of see it being unnecessary. Because I mean, the franchise has gone on what 10 Saw movies and one spinoff.
No, the spinoff is the 9th movie. The 10th is
okay. So 10 movies total. You kind of have gotten as much story that is, I don't want to say realistic, but you got 10 movies of a coherent story that does play well together. Why start up a new one, or why try to have a whole new company try to continue on with it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just seems kind of unnecessary.
To be honest with you, I wish they would give Marcus Dunstan the keys back and let him do his associated like prequel that they wanted to do with Saw before it became The Collector of John Kramer in the beginning. Like I was talking with Mom today, like she never knew about it. I told her about how The Collector was going to be, because you know how the protagonist in The Collector is in the Criminal Minds, because we were watching Criminal Minds the other day, and she mentions to me, she talked to me about his character in Criminal Minds, and I told her the whole entire thing of what that franchise was going to be. And it still blows my mind that we could have got a prequel movie with John Kramer. But they decided not to do that, and it looks like they kind of done good with that because they do have The Collector, the collection, and probably The Collector coming out. So
yeah,
either way, win-win for Marcus Dunstan.
Right. And then for all the horror video game fans, Goosebumps Terror in the Little Creek, new video game coming out, gets an August 29th release date. And that looks like it's going to be coming out on the Nintendo Switch, PS5, the Xbox Series S and X, and then PC via Steam. So I hadn't heard of this until just today. But any new horror video games and with Goosebumps name attached to it, I'm cool with it. I'm going to look it up.
To be honest, I didn't know about this either until I was making this. I seen the image. It kind of reminds me of that back early 2000s. I don't know about 90s, but early 2000s, like with the graphics and stuff.
Yeah.
So it don't bother me whatsoever. That looks like that reminds me a lot of like GameCube days, which GameCube best game system of all time for me. So
Oh, yeah.
I probably will be getting this just to see how it goes. So if you guys are out there, I'll probably be streaming on TikTok or Twitch, probably Twitch, this game. So go check it out. I probably need, if you want to, I'll probably put the Twitch stream link down below so you guys can go follow that, because there'll probably be that, and it seems like we're getting a lot of horror games very soon. So definitely will be playing a lot on there.
Yeah.
So are you going to try to get the scoops?
This looks like it'll be a perfect game that I can incorporate with my daughters, because it has like that style where, like you said, early 2000s, like PC game, and like roam around, and just to give them a little bit of the taste. So yeah, this would be something I'd play with my oldest.
Do you have a Switch?
Yeah, okay. I had one, and then my oldest pretty much confiscated it, so it's hers now. Usually how it goes.
I was about to say, I got everything on this list besides the PC, so I can get on any of the consoles. The question is, they put Switch. Will it be on the Switch 2, though, where the Switch 2 just dropped? That's the question.
Yeah.
But for any of you people that have those consoles, check out for that game on August 29th, where that will be is that Tuesday? Probably no. Yeah, no, it's a Friday. Yep. Yeah, it's Friday. Because that's the same day as the Toxic Avenger releases. So you can watch some Toxic Avenger and play Goosebumps once you get home. Perfect day. Then for our final piece of news, we got a new trailer for I Know What You Did Last Summer. This shit looks atrocious.
What are you waiting for?
I'm waiting for it to come out, see it, and not talk about it ever again.
What did you do last summer?
What did I do last summer? I watched movies, made a couple of friends here on Horror Talk. That's what I did last summer.
There we go.
I don't know why the fish hook man will come killing me because of that. But this trailer's bad. Like Goop said, there's those quotes appear in both of the trailers. What you're waiting for appears in this trailer. Madeline Klein is a good actress, but she looks horrible in this. And if you guys don't know who Madeline Klein is, she plays in Outer Banks.
Okay, I've heard the name. I can't put a face to the name.
And besides that, one of the guys is going to be one of the main actors in him, the quarterback, the one who's under Marlon Wayans. He's going to be in this movie also.
Oh.
And if you guys have watched the Mendez Brothers, the monster TV show from, I think it's Ryan Murphy, one of the brothers is in there, which if I get this right, they have not shown him in any of the promotion. I'm thinking he's the fucking fish hook killer. Or like we were talking about the other night with me, you, and Ian. It could be Freddie Prinze Jr. You never know. Which would be really fucking stupid.
Yeah, I'm still going to see it. So.
Me too.
I'm just going to laugh when it's the best movie of 2025.
No, it's not going to be Sinners. It's going to be Sinners. Oh, I'll be mad though if like we talk about all this shit and it's like actually good.
Yeah.
But that is it for movie news this week. So let's get into our main topic. So like Goobs mentioned earlier, We are going to be reviewing 28 years later. This is the first part in a trilogy. So it's this one, The Bone Temple, which will be coming out January 16th of next year. Then part three, which we don't have a release date and it hasn't even been filmed yet. So, Goops, let's get right into it. So, if you want
Yeah.
to start with your spoiler-free review.
So my spoiler free review is that first off, I love the original and I even love the sequel. So I was really excited for this one, and it was one of my most anticipated of the year. And it held up for me. It is way more than just a zombie post-apocalyptic outbreak film. This dives deep into family dynamics and relationships between father son, mother son. It gives a lot of just more deeper emotional tone than your typical infection film. And it is just the filmmaking part of it is amazing. What Danny Boyle is able to do with some of these shots and how he was able to get some of these shots shooting them on a rig of 15 iPhones. So it just was exceptional filmmaking, great, compelling story, emotional story, and I loved it. And I can't wait to dive deeper.
So, for 28 years later, this is the first time I watched the whole trilogy. So, it's fresh in my mind of what this trilogy is. This one, I really enjoyed. I think it's phenomenal. I think it's a masterpiece. Daniel Boyle and Alex Garland cook with this. This is the second Daniel Boyle film I've seen besides it was this and 28 Days Later. But Alex Garland, I know. I've seen all of his movies besides Warfare. So I've seen Ex Machina, Annihilation, Civil War, and Men. I think all of his films are good besides Men. That was a little bit iffy with me. But he's a good director. And I heard that Warfare is really good. And he's going to be attached to Elden Ring also. So he's a good director, writer, and Danny Boyle. A lot of people like his other stuff, like Sunshine, Slumdog Millionaire, all that. So going to this, I knew that a good, acclaimed director and writer was going into this. And after watching 28 Days Later, like I said before, this is phenomenal. I love the filmmaking of Danny Boyle because for the first movie of 28 Days Later, he took and shot the film first time in digital because a lot of people are still using film to film movies. He's the first one to ever do on digital. I think it's on a Kodak camera also it was.
Yeah, I think something like that.
And you can see it kind of feels like a found footage movie. The original does with a grainy texture, which makes it more terrifying. And with this one, with having all those iPhone 15s with rigs on them, great because I kind of felt like I was there in the movie.
Yeah.
And the way he done some shots was amazing. Like there's one shot I'm gonna say right now. The part when Spike and Aaron Taylor Johnson's character is running across the water and Samson is running after them.
Yeah.
Not only it looks great, but you get every angle because of course the cameras are like in a U shape like this, so it gets all around the whole entire shot, except like kind of like how we are in like the box shape. No, it gets all around so you can see every angle, and they can do that editing also. The story is great in this. Garland did a great job writing the story, writing the script on this, and not only I think it's a great script, but the performances go along with the script, and it even makes it even better. So for the script, we get a story of at the beginning, it's really terrifying and scary, but by the end, it's emotional, it's heartfelt, it sends a message to everybody. And that starts off with Aaron Taylor Johnson and Alfie Williams at the beginning with their father son relationship, and that ends with Jodie Comer, Alfie Williams with their son and mother relationship, but also Ray Fiennes with that whole entire thing of the Bone Temple and the way he explains it, which us going all into this movie thought that was going to be a dark type of thing. The Bone Temple was, and it doesn't show that. It shows meaning. There's purpose behind the Bone Temple, and the ending is very controversial for everybody. I enjoy the ending, and with that being said, Jack O'Connell's good in this. I think I actually will hold it off until our spoiler because, of course, that will go into our spoiler section. I think of the whole entire thing. But the score is goodness. It hits with the score, and I think that's Danny Boyle bringing that right into it, especially that 28 Days Later theme. Every time that hits, I'm locked in. It's kind of like reminds me of a Saw. You know how when the Saw thing comes on at
Yeah.
the end of the movie and you get locked in? That's what it reminds me with the 28 of 28. Yeah, I'm just call it the 28 theme because of course it's in this whole
Yeah.
trilogy right now. But that is it for my spoiler free thoughts. So, guys, we're going to get into spoilers right now. If you guys haven't seen 28 Years Later, go to the theater. Definitely check this one out because this is a phenomenal movie. If you want to see really good filmmaking with a really good director and a really good writer, go see this thing. Do not wait till this hits Netflix because this is where it's going to go once it hits streaming. Definitely go because hell, you could buy a movie ticket about the same price as you buy a Netflix subscription nowadays. So definitely go see the series. Get some popcorn. And before even we start, Goobs, speaking of popcorn, I want to know what is your go-to order for the movie theater?
All right. So I always get popcorn with extra butter, and then I put white cheddar popcorn seasoning on there, and I always get a side of jalapenos. And then to spice it up, I will throw, depending on how I'm feeling. Last night when I saw the movie, I had sour gummy worms, but sometimes I will throw um, peanut M&Ms or Reese's Pieces in the popcorn itself. So I have chocolate, jalapenos, butter, everything all in one bite. And
Ooh,
then last night I had a zero sugar red cream soda for the drink. But normally I'll just do like a root beer or a Coke Zero or something like that.
okay. For my go-to, if you want to do it, put butter popcorn always. I might actually do the jalapenos now. I might actually ask for jalapenos if I go on Tuesday back to the movies just to try that out. But butter popcorn, large butter popcorn. If I'm feeling hungry, if I'm not going small. Drink wise, either I can go with icy, but normally cherry, but they have orange there now, so probably go with that. Drink, if you do drink it, it's gotta be Bars root beer. Because of course where I go, they got those nice machines now, like they do at AMC Picker thing.
Yep.
That's why I get. But if you want to talk about candy, if I get some candy, there is a couple. There's two. Either I go peanut M&Ms or I gotta go Reese's Pieces.
Yep. It's classic.
Yes, and you can't go. When I was little, I used to go to the theater and not get anything for the longest time. Like no drink, no popcorn, nothing. Like it helps you, like if you don't want to go to the bathroom during the movie, but sometimes I think you just need something, especially if it's a longer movie,
Yeah.
or if it's kind of like, especially horror movies. Like you kind of do need something a little bit for a horror movie, like especially in those tense moments. Like I have never ate like a full large popcorn, but this whole entire movie was so intense that like I looked over and I ate the whole damn large popcorn.
Yep. Yeah.
But
Also shout out to Nerds Gummy Clusters.
oh, those
That's
are
another top tier movie snack.
oh, another one. I'm gonna throw this out there. The theaters need to start putting the Skittles pops where they actually sell their own now. They
Oh
need to
yeah.
start selling those in theaters. I got those the other day at the QT, and those things are phenomenal.
Yeah.
But guys, go see this movie, go to the theater, check it out, come back here, and let's get talk about 28 years later, Goobs.
All right.
So let's hold off to the ending. I was going to jump off with the ending, but I kind of want to hold off on it. So let's talk about the beginning, because the beginning is one of the most wild beginnings I think in this. Like, each of these movies have a wild beginning to this
Yeah.
trilogy, but this one I think is the most wild out of all of them.
Yeah. This one starts off, kids watching fucking Teletubbies, and nothing wrong with that. Then all of a sudden, one of the older ladies comes busting in, telling Jimmy to look at the screen and don't come out of the door. And then fucking all hell breaks loose. This is what this franchise definitely knows how to do an opening scene. Because this one was basically fuck them kids.
Yes, that's what I thought. It's like, was it first 2 minutes? I'm thinking, okay, so I'm going to tell you a little story right now of the beginning. So the movie first starts, right? And I don't understand this. Like, when I get in the theater, I go in 30 minutes earlier so I can get everything, get a seat, everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a couple that comes in. I think they got the seat right beside me, which, first of all, if you get a seat right beside somebody, think that the person's there at the time the movie starts. So I think they saw me there. They didn't want to sit by me, so the man sits right below me. The woman sits over here, but she's like finagling with her purse and everything. And the movie started, so I'm trying to get locked into the movie and her.
Yeah.
So when that scene happens, I'm like half paying attention to her, half paying attention to the screen. But when that's infected, goes past the lady and goes straight to the kids, I'm like, what? I was locked there.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck? Because of course you see that boy in the background, and if you want to talk about creepiness and everything, after that, when he goes into the Catholic Church, because of course I think this is in Ireland, isn't it?
I think it was off the Scottish coast. I think it said Scottish Highlands.
Yeah. When he goes in there and the preacher's like, or no, the father, Catholic,
Yes.
does different than Christianity.
Yeah.
So the father, when they go in there, when we find out it's Little Jack, we're going to just call him Little Jack. Is that what his name is? Jack?
Thought it was Jimmy.
Oh yeah, it's Little Jimmy.
That was Jimmy.
It's one of the J's. So when Little Jimmy goes in there, he is looking at the father, and the father is like mad. He's like, "Oh, the end is coming," and everything. And you're thinking, "No, what the fuck is wrong with this dude? Like, has he been sniffing some cocaine or something while he's in there?" And the infected come in there and they tear the fuck out of him. Like,
yeah,
you want to talk about brutality? Besides getting the kids getting like brutally like slaughtered by them, blood going everywhere, is him getting like shredded apart, because this is when the infection started, but it kind of can show what the effect is going to look like in the future. Kind of like Danny Boyle and Alex Garland like put hints in there of what they wanted to do later on in this franchise, and it just hits on the fucking nail in the head with it.
Yeah, and it's crazy because fucking Jimmy's dad, who is the priest father, he's sitting there and he's saying his little prayer, and he's saying that this is what God wanted us. This is what God chose us to do, chose me to do. This motherfucker's the one that opened the gates and let them in to have the infected wreak havoc on the family, himself, because he felt like that's what God wanted him to do. And that's when he gave Jimmy his little crucifix necklace and said, "You keep this with you always." And then you see him the kind of hide and run off as his dad's getting bit and infected, and he's celebrating the whole time. like a fucking maniac.
And two things I wanted to go on before we get going with the rest of this film. First of all, the Teletubbies terrified the fuck out of me when I was little.
Oh, 100%. They still are terrifying.
Their little faces, like I'm thinking right now, like if a little Teletubby came out in the dark and they did it in the dark, they might be getting punched by me.
Dude, if you think they're scary in regular color, watch them in black and white. It'll change your perspective on how scary they actually are.
Goops, don't tempt me. I might do it. I actually might do it. But another thing is, you know how the cross, you got the long part at the top and the small and the bottom.
Yeah.
You see how Jimmy had it upside down?
Yeah.
For from becoming from God to worshiping kind of like the devil.
Yeah. He basically,
it's kind of he lost all hope, kind of.
Yeah, he took the meaning of where his father said, take this and remember it, but he basically changed the whole meaning of what that meant for him throughout the time. So it went from not honoring, Jesus and God and his dad, but now it's him. Now it's Jimmy. You know what I mean? And it's like he didn't let that go. He didn't let the words from his dad go as he's grown older.
And we will get more into that in the ending. But after that, it jumps right into the little island. Sorry about that if you guys heard that. It goes into a little island, and on this island we see Aaron Taylor, not Aaron. Oh, is it Aaron? Yeah, Aaron Taylor Johnson. I don't know why I had a brain fart right there. Aaron Taylor Johnson's character, Alfie Williams as Spike, and Jodie Comer's character. And it looks like a normal family. They're just living on the island, but you realize that this island. At first, I'm like, how the fuck do they get to the mainland? But we find out later on that there's a bridge, and it's like when the high tide is not there, you can cross it. But when the high tide is there, it covers it. But we start out, it looks like they're a normal family. Aaron Taylor Johnson's character's cooking up some eggs, and they just got some bacon because it looks like they're very limited on stock in this village.
Yeah.
And so it gives Spike the bacon, but Spike, of course, loves his mother. So he takes the bacon, folds up a napkin, takes it up to her. And you can definitely see that Jodie Comer's character is sick.
Yeah.
And did you kind of think of what sickness she had at the beginning?
Yeah, like at first I thought, it might be like an Alzheimer's type thing or some sort of, brain disease, some sort, because it's like she kept coming in and out of herself. You know what I mean? It's like she was dealing with the outbreaks and like the memories and everything. And then it snapped back to her in the present moment. So I was like, there's got to be something going on in her brain where it's causing these type of outbreaks or outbursts. And I really like the setup of introducing this family, because this is where the story, like the main story, kind of branches off. You have Aaron Taylor Johnson, who's the dad, who is excited for the day because it's Spike's first day where they're going to go out to the mainland. And they're both excited. His dad's excited, but then when they tell their mom, the mom is a totally different reaction. It's no, he's not old enough yet. It's too dangerous. This and that, kind of pushing back on Jamie as he wants to go out with Spike. And then they kind of say, oh yeah, we're just taking him to school. Never mind, to kind of put her mind at ease. But they end up going on this patrol out in the mainland, and even the people of the village, you got some of them that are excited and they want to see him become the essence of a man. And this is his first trip into, manhood. But even though when he gets to the gate, they're like, well, he's not old enough yet. He's supposed to be 14 and he's only 12. And his dad's like, nope, he's ready. It doesn't matter. So it builds up a lot of, I'll get into it a little later, but where I think each person's mindset is and how they perceive life and what they're wanting to do in this particular setting. But I'll go into that later if you have anything that you want to say now.
I agree with you with all that. And with Jodie Comer, with the thing of Jamie telling her, like, oh, yeah, Spike's not going to school, we talked about for a couple weeks, and that I'm going to take him to the mainland to get his first kill. And she, like you said, she flips out. But then he runs off because he gets mad. And Spike kind of like tells her, oh, yeah, I'm going to school. Kind of like to that reassurance, like he loves his mom, so he don't want her to have worried. And I like the conversation that him and like the main person over the gate, it looks like the older woman, kind of like if you want to say like the mayor of the village, kind of.
Yeah.
Like her and he was Spike talking, like, are you sure you want to do this? And he's like, yeah, I've been training for this and I'm ready for this. And the one thing I really like about this to show you the growth of Spike is before he leaves, he looks at his Power Rangers action figure that he has on this bookshelf. And like to bring it, he's thinking like, should I bring it with me or not? But it kind of shows like when he puts it down, kind of that he is growing up, that he wants to take this next step into manhood and what it is like. Because if you think Spike is kind of like a pandemic baby, kind of.
Yeah.
Because of course Jamie and Jodie Comer's character know what it is like before the affection started, and Spike was born to this, so he technically don't know what the Power Rangers is, but he knows as a kid it's probably time to grow up. Because like of course like us right now, like I think we experienced this especially with the pandemic we had. A lot of people had to grow up real quick.
Yeah.
And I think it shows that with Spike that a lot of 12-year-olds still, hell, they still play video games, they run around, they have fun, but it shows right now that he has to step up. Because if you think of this, especially what we know now of the whole entire movie, Spike does have to grow up in the situation that he is in by the time he hits the end of this movie. And with this as the forefront of it, it shows that I think he's prepared for it, and Jamie taught well for this, even though he has some failures and mishaps in this movie, which I think he's going to get more in this trilogy and learn from it. But after this, they go into the mainland, which Danny Boyle, filmmaking again, great. And I bet you this was filmed like in Ireland or something, because I think a lot, not Ireland, but like Scotland, they have a lot of those great vibrant landscapes and everything like we see with this.
Yeah. When I watched the trailer, or I watched the credits, and I think some of it was done in Canada also, but I know they were on location somewhere where they have tons of green forest, and it's just breathtaking. But real quick, I wanted to go back to what you were saying, because us as men, and us as growing up with our dads, and just how dads are with their sons, how you said with the Power Ranger, like he wants to still be a kid. He still wants to have that association with childhood and innocence, but he knows that his dad wants him to be a man, and this is his first step. So he goes, this is the part where I'm going to leave my childhood behind, because I know my dad wants me to be this type of figure. And then his dad, Jamie is the one that not necessarily pressuring him to go out, but he's not abiding by the rules. He's not abiding by the 14-year-old minimum age. His son is going out early and he's okay with that because he wants his son to be a man and instill that type of mindset in him. And his mom is like, no, he's too young. We need to protect him. We need to keep him safe. He's too young. Let him be a kid a little bit more. So I think it just goes to how sons are treated by dads versus their moms.
Yeah.
And then I have different points later on when we get to it by Spike's relationship with his dad and his mom as they progress. But yeah, now we're going in the inland to get his first kill. I just wanted to touch back on that.
I agree with you with everything
you
that you said. I agree with you what you said also right there. It just shows, I think a lot of people don't like the direction that Garland went with this. Like, I respect everyone's opinion. If they didn't like it, they didn't like it. But I think he really does with that really well. I think that's just with him as a writer, because if you look not only like kind of with 28 Days Later, but any of his filmography, he likes to break things down and explain a lot of things, and it did it with this. And I think with that, not only him, but I think Boyle could has something to do with it.
Yeah.
Because especially like I see Garland write stuff like his movies, but if you look at 28 Days Later, it broke it out even more. I'm wondering if that was Danny Boyle like having conversations with him and everything with this.
Yeah, because I know, like you said, I respect people who didn't like it, who thought things didn't work. Because, I mean, obviously, every piece of art is subjective in some sort of way. It's going to affect other people differently than yourselves. But I thought that this story was fantastic and how it, and also people were looking that this was going to be a fast-paced run gun horror outbreak movie, which it wasn't. It was methodical. It was tense when it needed to be. It was emotional when it was required. You know what I mean? It just had these layers to it. But when we get to this next part about them going in the mainland, and the first interaction we get between Jamie and Spike about his first kill, you can see that Jamie has this type of look for Spike to be what he wants Spike to be. You know what I mean? He's not doing this for Spike. In my opinion, he's not pushing him to go out and get his first kill for Spike. He's doing it for himself, for his own self-glory and gratification. Like, this is my boy. And then when we get back to the party, it kind of solidifies my thought in there, which we'll get to that after. But what did you think of when he was winding up for his first kill with that fucking slow crawler one?
Before even that, when they're crossing the bridge to the mainland, that's when we get the whole entire of the boots on the ground. Not boots on the ground, but the boots, that whole entire thing in the trailer, which with film also.
Yeah.
Like that. Really made it kind of made it feel like you're safe on the mainland and you're going to like war or something when you hit when you go into the mainland away from like the whole entire village.
Yeah.
But the first thing before we get into the kill, I liked where they upgraded the infected, where now there's like these ones slithering and like crawling on the ground.
Yeah.
The design of them, gnarly, gross.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd like the advancement in the infected because every person is different. Everybody reacts to certain things differently as far as like sickness and whatnot. You know, what affects one person one way can affect a different person a totally different way. So like you said, you get more types of infected, these little crawly ones. And that I thought that was great, a great addition. It wasn't just a bunch of rage 100 miles an hour. You know what I mean?
Yes, because we get 28 years. Of course, things will go upgrade, things will evolve, and like you said, I think they've done it really well because the past two movies we've just seen full ass rage,
Yeah.
like fast, quick people, and we don't get that in this. But the kill, I think the first kill really there it's for both sides. I think you see Spike like grow up as a man right there, like a little bit into a man, but you kind of can see like Jamie kind of live through his son a little bit with that.
Yep.
And of course, they kill that because Spike gets the first kill, but separately, Spike gets the second kill. Jamie gets the kill over like, oh yeah, I need to be here. Also, like,
Yeah.
it's coming. To be honest with you, I'm gonna throw another movie out there, non horror, but just released. How to Train Your Dragon. With Stoic killing the dragons, right? And he wants Hiccup to kill dragons, and Hiccup don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But Stowe kind of like it's kind of like living through Hiccup. Like he wants his son to be this, and it kind of shows what Jamie is with Spike. It's like not only like he's a grown man, but like I could go back to the mainland, the village, and be like, "Oh, my son's this man. Like we got one. Like he's gonna be probably the future of our family or something."
Yeah.
And that's the great performance from Aaron Taylor Johnson. I think you could not put anyone else in this position and have this role.
Yeah. He did phenomenal in this movie. It was probably my favorite of his roles that I've seen him in. The depth of his character, because like I said, he is not, when we get further in, we could see, you think that he's just a father that wants his son to grow up and to be a man and, so he can be that. But Aaron Taylor Johnson's character is so much different than what you see in the beginning of the movie. You start seeing other things that he is, or what I should say, what he's not, you know what I mean? But I'll tell you what I mean when we get to that. I think you know what I'm talking about.
I think so. So I think the next part that we go into, because this thing not drags. It's a long, but it don't drag out. Like you are locked in for everything in this, especially in this movie. I think the next thing is when they go to the building.
Yeah, you get the stampede of deer or whatever, and then they kind of move through and they get to that abandoned house, and Jamie is saying, I'm sure this house has been searched a bunch of times, but who cares? We're going to search it anyway, because that's what we do when we forage and we are on these type of missions, you know what I mean, from the island. What did you think of this scene?
I liked it, but I wish they didn't show it in the trailer. Because I think if they didn't show in the trailer and you give the affected person, which was not an affected person at first, because Jamie, perfect example, because this is going to go into the end. I think it's before they go into the mainland, or when they're in the mainland. Jamie tells Spike, watch out, because there's some crazy people out here. Mm-hmm. And you see that first. That looks like an innocent person has been tied up, leave for the infected, and the infected has come and got them.
Yeah.
And of course, they go crazy. And this is when you see Spike kind of like backtrack a little bit. Like, he's still afraid. He's still in that youth stage of his life. Like, does he really want to kill that person right there? Even though it's not a person, like Jamie told him, like, they don't have no thoughts, they don't have no feelings, they can't remember nothing. They're just a body. Yeah. Which kind of shows the way Jamie is. Like, he's just going to do anything to make himself look high up on a pedestal.
Yeah, I agree. And that's where I was kind of alluding to. Like, you see him where he's like, oh, I'm doing this for my son. No, he's doing it for himself. And you can see kind of Jamie's outlook in there. Like you said, he says, oh, the more you kill, the easier it's going to be. The more of these you kill, it's going to be easier. They don't have any souls. They don't have any minds, this, that, and the other. However, in this universe, they're not dead. They're just infected by this rage virus. There's still stuff in there, but it's being overshadowed by this rage virus. And when I say that, I'm going to point to a moment further on in the movie where you can see just that shred of humanity still left in the infected. However, Jamie's character is showing that there really is no humanitarian or humanity left kind of in him. He's just in this environment now, and it's him, and that's it. He'll do what he can to make sure he is taken care of.
Perfect quote for that: "Killed or be killed."
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's a killer. He's got that killer be killed mentality, and I love how, going back from the beginning, where you get Jimmy, and he is basically mentioned in this movie, just not by name, all the way throughout. You know, there's crazy people out here doing messed up things. The tying of the infected, tying up the infected. And you see when he's saying, just kill him. They don't think just kill him. You, like you said, you see Spike's childness come back, and his, maybe I'm not sure I want to do this. Maybe what my dad was saying this isn't exactly what I want to be doing. And you just kind of see this tonal shift between Jamie and Spike after this interaction, in my opinion.
You kind of can.
Because you could see that he doesn't really necessarily want to do it after he sees what it actually is. And then, oh man, because you see Jamie's demeanor, you know, as as Spike's hesitating, getting ready to shoot him, and he's wiggling, and the infections, you know, trying to get out, and he finally gets out, and the rope drops, and then Jamie swoops in and shoots him. And, you know, you can just kind of not see the disappointment. He's not disappointed in a sense, but you can tell that he's just kind of like, why didn't you kill him? I said kill him, you know.
And another thing with Jimmy is, if I gotta rewatch it, because there's a message on the side of the building.
Oh, I know. I can't remember what it said. It's like, oh shit, Jimmy something, Big Jimmy, and I can't remember the rest. But yeah, there's.
I think I'm gonna post it on TikTok. If I do clip this, I think I'm gonna post a quote right below so everyone knows about what we're talking about. So after that, they go out and they continue to keep on looking, because Jamie wants to teach Spike, teach quotation marks, how to still do this. And they get into this big ass open field, and Jamie and Spike see all these infected, and they're like, okay, stay back. And then Jamie sees one come out, and he's like, oh fuck. No, it's not that. No, it's before that. It's the deer head.
Yeah, they see the slaughtered deer, and then Spike looks up to the tree, and there's the fucking head with the spine hanging at the thing. And Jamie knows exactly what it was. And then that's when we get another form of these infected. And that's when we get to where they're like, it's time to go, because he knows what it is. And they go to that field, and then that's where you see them kind of sprouting up over the top of the hill. And then what do they see up at the top?
Big Samson.
Big Samson, the big alpha.
A lot more big in ways than one. But Jamie's like running and they fucking take off. So him and Spike take off and they're just running. I love how everyone runs and Spike just sits there. And he just like waits. Not Spike, but Samson just sits there and he like waits.
Yeah.
And this is when you get more hesitation for Spike because they turn around and Spike shoots the first. No, Jamie shoots the first one. Then tells Spike to get the second one because they're doing back to back to make it easier.
Yeah.
And then Spike has the hesitation because his bow like starts shaking. He shoots the infected right in the leg. And of course, Jamie yells at him like, "I told you, in the heart or the head." And that's when he continues, and I think they keep on running. They actually go and hide in that building.
Yeah, they go back to the building where they found the hung infected first. What I love about this is they made the alpha kind of like, I don't know the best way to put it, like the infected general. Like they all, the regular infected know to listen to him. So when they're standing out there and he fucking gives the yell and that's when they all start running after him. So I kind of like how, just like with any disease or infection, the longer it's there, it's going to evolve. It's going to get smarter in a way and adapt to what surrounding it is, because now we're 28 years later, almost 3 decades. This infection has been around and is mutated and survived different attempts to take it out, whether it's through science or fucking just firebombing from the military. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I thought that was just great storytelling with adding that in there.
Definitely, most definitely. And once they get into the building, they get up in the attic, and how did they stay there a whole day? Or is it just a couple hours?
Yeah, so when they got back in there, that house scene when they were chasing them back up the stairs and they were trying to get to the loft, man, that was intense. Because you got how it's shot. It's such a small little house and stairwell that it was terrifying. And they finally get up into the loft upstairs after Jamie killed a couple of them coming through the door. But they peek out there and they just see this alpha waiting and basically studying their moves and making it to where he can figure out their next move, and they're doing vice versa. So it's like there is more, like it goes back to what I said, there's more than just rage in these infected, especially the alpha.
And it's terrifying because when they're looking out there, it's like the sun is settling.
Yep.
And you can just see his shadow.
Yeah, dude.
And he's the only one standing there near the tree, and it's more terrifying than you ever think.
Yeah, and that was one of the coolest shots of the film as well, that fucking sunset scene. And you get then you get the scene between Jamie and Spike where he's like, "I'm sorry, it's my fault, I messed up, I shook, I missed my shots." And Jamie had that little bit of fatherly kind of warmth and comfort where he's like, "This wasn't your fault. This, just because you missed your shot doesn't mean that this is why we're here," and kind of gave him just like it'll be okay. So you're kind of wondering, does he realize that he messed up by pushing him early to this section? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this, what they're doing. And then I know he had a dream. Didn't he have a dream of his mom? Or is this where they had the cuts for the boots on the boots?
It probably is the mom scene because the boots was the bridge.
Yeah, the bridge. And then they also had the where it's dark and they were glowing red. That's what it is. He had like the dream when he's sleeping up in the loft, and it showed those fucking the infected at night when they're glowing red. That was such a freaking cool shot.
That was scary.
Yeah, dude, and they're showing him killing the deer and the alpha ripping the head off and putting it up there. So it kind of gives you what these infected are capable of. And then you start hearing the rumblings and you're like, what the hell is that? And then it cuts back to them back in the loft, and those deers that we saw earlier are stampeding back, and they end up collapsing the house. So they have to get out of the house in the nighttime, which is absolutely fucking terrifying to think about, not being in a closed area with infected around in the dark.
Yeah. Because the infected can see at night and they can't.
Yeah. So.
And this is when they get back towards the bridge. And the high tide is still up, but it's like it should be right at the end where the low tide should be, where the bridge. So James said he and Miss Spike can't run it, so they start running.
Yeah.
And this is when the shot comes up. So they're running across, which I like the sky. The sky with like the
northern lights.
Yes.
With the green hue. Dude, such a cool shot.
So that happens and running, and all of a sudden you see Samson just come out of nowhere. And
Yeah.
he takes a sprint. He looking like Ray Lewis coming after a quarterback.
Dude. That. And then it cuts from like the sheer mayhem of Samson running through, and then the joy of Jamie and Spike on the bridge, and they're talking about, yeah, you got your first kill, and he's hyping him up, and there's this whole thing, and you're just like, motherfucker, run, what are you doing? And then it flashes back to Samson, and do the crows follow the infection. And I thought that was, I don't know if the crows are infected, like, or what, because you know how they chew on infected flesh and animals and stuff. So I don't know if they're technically infected, but how they were basically guiding Samson to Aaron or Jamie and Spike's character, because then they get the fucking crows rush over and they duck, and then they look back and they're like, oh shit. That's when they notice that they're being fully chased, and he's on the bridge with them.
And when they keep on running because the people are alerted. And this is when they do the bow and arrows.
Yeah. And I liked how they did that, because they kind of flashed to them training with the over, like the precision shots, how they go up and over.
And that's when you get like the things of
like the old
them. Yeah, the old
like
war.
the old medieval time section when they're shooting their arrows up and over. And I thought that was really cool. And I didn't notice this, but my wife did. So when they duck the first time, when they shoot the arrows, Samson doesn't, and he gets hit with a couple. They go again, and I didn't notice this, but she did. They shoot the arrows for the second time. They duck, and fucking Samson ducks right behind him.
Oh, I never noticed that.
Yeah, so he saw what they did in the infect, and he learned like that. And he ducked the second arrow. So that's how he was still able to get this fucking close to him, because he didn't get hit with that second barrage.
But I think they shoot third time again, so they get hit him again, right?
Yeah, they hit him with the with like that fire crossbow thing, and that's what actually stops them. And then they get to the door and they're screaming, we're fine, we're clear, look at our eyes, and then they let them in.
I don't want to talk about the scene because that one pissed me off. I think I opened the fucking door.
What I don't understand, and maybe do you think they just, so here's the thing, they get back in the village, right? I don't know if that was the same, if that was Samson, if that was the same alpha or what, but they just kind of, did they just like let him lay there? You
That's
know,
what I was wondering.
so it's like, was that actually Samson from the ending, or is that just another alpha and they just have a few throughout? That's what I didn't really, that was the one critique where I was just like, where the fuck did that big son of a bitch go? But then there's another alpha later on in the movie, so I just maybe assume that it's,
I wonder if it's the same one and he just went back.
yeah, because they all tried to worry about that, and then maybe he just kind of crawled and got away or something.
Because of course he's got to go back to his people.
Yeah.
And another reason that he has to go back to his people is for a specific reason we'll be talking about later.
Yeah. And here's where I was going to say where I realized that Aaron Taylor Johnson's character isn't the father that you think he is. Because like I said, he has a sick wife. He has his son that he's trying to, force to become a man and whatnot. And you're just like, okay, he should learn that this wasn't a smart idea. But nope, they have this fucking party and he's lying his ass off about how Spike did. He's like, no, he hit him running square in the face and this got his kill. And then they started chasing us, and he's just embellishing the story, not saying that they almost got killed twice. It's like he made this big story like, this is my son, this is what I created. And then he goes with that fucking, other lady at the party. And
this shows too, because this is another thing of Spike growing up during this affection. It's because us, like right now in the normal world, we know when the people have affairs and stuff. But Spike has never seen that because everyone in the whole entire village they love each other. He always seen his mom and dad love each other. He has never seen this.
Yeah.
And I think it's the part of growing up also.
Yeah, seeing people who you idolize, because I mean, every son looks up to their dad. Every son thinks their dad is the superhero of the world, or at least I should say most. And then when you come to the realization that sometimes they're not the people that you believe they are, it gets you another step of actually becoming who you are as a person. Like, he saw his dad outside of the party get drug around he sees him with the other lady, and he kind of follows them and sneaks around and sees the affair. And kind of he sees what his dad truly is. And like, this was just a ploy for him to kind of show what he has to offer other people,
Yeah.
And then Spike just wants to go back to his mom and check on his mom while she's literally sick, dying, and his dad's out there cheating, and he finally sees it. And then you get the conversation with Sam, who kind of, I think that's his name, the old timer. You get the little conversation within that where he mentions he saw fire while they were on the mainland, and he gets a clue of who that was, and that there was a doctor before in the community, and there potentially is an option to figure out what's going wrong with his mom, and how Spike just has this urge to take care of his mom and wants his mom to feel better. And then you have Jamie, who has the sick wife, and he can't get anything from her, so he's going to find it somewhere else. So it just goes around that self-centeredness and just all about me, kill or be killed type mentality that Jamie has, and you see it unfold, and Spike sees it unfold throughout this process, which I thought was great storytelling.
And going back to, we didn't even talk about that. When they're on the mainland and Spike sees the fire and he asks Jamie, he's like, what's that? And he's like, forget it. He's hateful to him. He's like, forget about we're not going to talk about it, and you can kind of see that. It's like the whole entire process of like in the beginning we thought Jamie was a good father to Spike, but it's like kind of like it's like when he's kind of like a mask a little bit. Like when he's in the village, like he's a nice person, but when you're on your own with him, he's not a good person.
Yeah, and you kind of see it. And so what I wonder, and maybe I guess I can ask the question now and we can answer it, but do you think, because come to find out, Sam bleeps out that, yep, he was a doctor. He was my
Protege.
Yeah, his like sidekick 30 years ago when the shit kind of all went down. And so he was like, oh, there is a doctor out here and there is, a potential help. But when he asked Jamie the next morning, you could tell he doesn't want to say anything. And he goes, remember when I said there's crazy people out there? Leave it at that. Trying to put that, the doctor as the crazy one.
Yeah.
When obviously going further in, we see that that's not obviously true. And then what I loved, because I didn't think this was going to happen, I love that Spike went straight up to Jamie and was like, do you want mom to die? Do you want her gone? And he goes, no, why would you say that? He goes, so then you could be with the other person. I forgot her name. And he goes, and then you could see the rage filling up within Jamie, because nobody was there to call him out on his shit. He was doing what he wanted to, and he was the man. And then his son, of all people, saw it and called him out on it and said, you are not who you are supposed to be. You're supposed to love mom. You're supposed to take care of us and protect us, but you want to go off and fuck random people in the back in the dark corridor, And then when he backhands him, I'm like, oh shit. I was like, shit just got real. You know what I mean?
Then the knife comes out and Spike pulls the knife out. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, he ran back upstairs to check on his mom because his mom is having a head thing. And then he comes back. Then Jamie comes upstairs and they go out into
because he tells him get the fuck out.
Yeah, he fucking pushes him and says, get the fuck out. We don't need you to stay away from us, and pulls a knife out on his dad and has that, I'm going to stick up for my mom and who needs to be stuck up for. That's what, and I think this was that first glimpse of him actually knowing what being a man is in his eyes. Protecting the weak, protecting the vulnerable, the people in your family that you're supposed to protect, which is his mom. And at first I was pissed because I'm like, oh, damn it. He's taking his mom by himself onto the mainland, all this shit. And I'm like, oh no, what's going to happen? But it was the perfect way for him to experience his self-growth and his oh God, what's the word I'm looking for? His self-worth, his self, where he knows who he is as a person. He's not like his dad. His dad isn't the perfect superhero that he thought he was. And this is that coming of age part that I love the most, because he has his own self-reflections throughout this whole process. And he ends up making the decision that he's going to take his mom to that doctor and figure out what's going on with him or with her.
And with this, before he pulls the knife out, he asks the question, like, if mom wants to die, like, do you want mom to die, right? But the thing I like the most is when he slams the door, he's like, why the fuck you still here?
Yeah.
He's like, if you don't like mom, why the fuck are you still here?
Exactly. And I think that's where you have the same question for both Jamie and Spike. How far and what are you willing to do for the person that you love? Obviously, Spike is willing to go to the end of the earth for his mom that he loves. Jamie, the wife, or his wife that he said he loved, gave him a son and everything like that. She can't do anything for him. So he's kind of done with her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I think this is when the movie, and this is going to sound weird, but I think this is when the true
Tone shift.
Yeah, the true tone shift and the true meaning of this movie begins right here.
Yeah.
So when he takes his mom to the mainland, this is where I think the story flourishes and where the true meaning of this film begins.
And I really like that because he tries to sneak out and he gets his mom and she's like, and of course they cross the bridge because he's still trying to like carry her on because she's not all there at that moment. And once they get to the mainland, they're on top of the mountain and she's like, wait, we're on the mainland. Like, why are we on the mainland? Like, we gotta go back. And then Spike's like, he's still trying to tell her, like, I found a doctor, like this. But she's like, the mainland. He's like, Mom, it's kind of like putting like your foot in the ground and like
foot down.
And like kind of like showing that he's growing up. Like, Mom, you're sick. I'm worried about you. We gotta go get help.
Yeah.
And I think going to the end of the movie, there's a reason why she hesitates so much right there, because we find out at the end that she kind of already knew what was wrong with her a little bit. And I think it starts to show right here.
Yeah. And this is a part where it kind of, I don't want to say drags, but this is a very long portion of the movie, but you get a lot thrown into it. So when they're going, you know, and this is when I noticed where you see the decline of his mom so much, like how she continuously calls him dad and is speaking to her dad and thinking that she's still a little girl. But if you look further into that, that's when the last time she felt safe. It was with her dad, you know. So she's going back into these memories where she was the safest and felt the most comfortable. And you just have this feeling of, this whole movie is about, in my opinion, it's just about protecting the ones you're supposed to protect, and just, it's all about protection and feeling safe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the humanity behind all of that. And I really love the connection that, because at first I thought this was going to be like a father-son companion duo. It's them.
That's what shows in the trailer a lot.
Because I was like, okay, this is going to be crazy. But then that shift where, no, it's a story of a son going above of what he can do for his mom. And she wants to protect him. Not only does she want to protect him in the beginning where she's saying, no, you're too young to go out on the mainland, but she starts to protect him throughout this whole fucking excursion to the doctor.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Because she tries to protect him from certain things, like she wants him to go back. But I think what really hits is when they meet Eric.
Yeah.
And Eric, to be honest with you, do you think the Eric thing, when people talk about like kind of like all over the place, this is one of the things, if I could like put on, like it doesn't bear it that much, because we do, unfortunately, do meet Eric with Spike and Jodie Comer's character. But
before we get there, I want to talk about protection because, yeah, Eric definitely is a big proponent of that, of her protecting him. But when they first start and she's like, I'm tired, I just want to sit. They stop at that church to kind of stay at night.
Oh, shit. I did forget about this.
To spend the night. And this is when I thought that, because I'm thinking the whole time, something's going to happen to them where somebody's going to have to save them. And I thought it was going to be the dad. I thought it was going to be Jamie the whole time. But they stop and, they're having this conversation. And he goes, you get some rest. I'm going to stay up and I'm going to, I'm going to watch out. And she goes, okay, Dad. And that's another thing, I'm going to protect you. She felt protected. And that was her protector, was her dad. So she goes to sleep, and then he's sitting there and he's kind of nodding off. And then you see one of those fucking slow crawling bastards coming up.
I love how you just call it that slow scroll.
Dude, those fucking things were terrifying because they're just crawling and crawling. And how they edited this part where it's like, when is it going to get to him and how is it going to get to him? And then, it gets up to him, it grabs a shoelace because it thinks it's a worm and it starts trying to eat it. And it's like, that's not a fucking, it spits it out. It's like, that's not a worm. And then it fucking gets, because I don't know if these things are blind or what. I don't know if that's what it is, or if they go.
No, they're not. Because remember the beginning when the little one looked right at them and then walked away?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So, because I don't know why it went straight for a shoelace, because I know they were eating worms from the ground and that's they're just like gross piles of nasty.
You know what I thought was going to happen?
Huh?
I thought he was going to do like an anaconda thing, like eat the shoelace, eat the shoe, then just like go up and like eat it that way. I'm like, oh shit.
And then I was like, okay, this is where the dad pops back in. I was like, this is where Aaron Taylor Johnson jumps in and saves the day and whatnot, right? And then they go on to see the doctor, right? Nope. It just goes black. And you're like, what the shit? Because it goes black right as it's about to bite his face. You see the bag snatch and it goes black and you're like, what the fuck just happened? And then they wake up and there's just this dead crawling bastard with a bag over its head and none of them know what happened. But here's where you said where she is protecting him. Isla was the one who was awake and protected Spike. She put the bag over his head and bashed and had the memory lapse of bashing the zombie or the infected's head and saving Spike. But she didn't say that. It just kind of flashed in there. And so now you're going, fuck. This is a story of him trying to protect her, but it's more her trying to protect him to allow him to let his mom go.
Yeah.
Because he was so attached to his mom and so attached to making sure that she would survive and be okay. But she already knew that wasn't the case. So she stuck with this plan to kind of send him on his way and to let Isla go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, go ahead.
Okay, I need to ask you. It's been bothering me for like the last 5 minutes. These things remind me of something else. I really want to fucking know what it is. Those little like gross ass things on the ground. It's something else.
I know
what it is. You know what I'm talking about, right? There's like a cartoon or something with little fucking.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta find the picture. I will guys post on social media if I can find it.
Yeah. But
oh my god, I know what it is. It kind of reminds me of like remember those little? It's so weird. Star Wars. Remember the little baby dove? It's it's Jabba's little brother.
Oh.
That's what it reminds me of. It's Jabba's little brother crawling around.
Yeah.
But is this when they?
Because
Is this when it cuts black and it goes to Eric?
no, this one they leave, and this is when they're walking in that daisy field. It goes to where they're walking in the daisy field, and that's when you get the zombie that they thought was Cillian Murphy the whole time. But they're having this talk while they're walking through. Mind you, fantastic shot of the fucking high flowers and them walking through and whatnot. But you get this they're having this conversation, and like I said, this is the same thing that a continuous theme where she is talking about, Dad, this is where we were. This was the last time I felt safe. You told me that I was always going to be safe here. And it had like this, she had like this memory come back of her being a little girl and her dad putting his hand on her shoulder. And she's kind of in this comfort feeling, but then it flashes to real time. And that's when that fucking skinny zombie or infected is coming behind her. And Spike sees it and says, stay still, draws his bow and ends up killing that one. Gets blood all over her face, almost in her eyes. So he had to hurry up and, wipe that away so she didn't get infected.
Was wipe it, and
yeah, she was going to wipe it. And I'm wondering with that, I wonder if she was going to do that on purpose. Like if she was going to do that because, like I said, if she did that, she's infected. He has to kill her, kind of thing. And that's one way to let him put a goodbye to his mom. But maybe diving a little deeper in there. But I thought that was a little curious because she almost went, and she would have been gone.
True. I didn't ever think of that one.
But because there's always this hint, and like I said, it comes to that culmination at the end, which we can kind of, when we meet Eric, this is when I think you get a whole nother outlook on what's going on, because Eric is this military guy from Sweden, just shooting to kill, doesn't give a fuck about nothing. He calls them zombies. He calls, he treats them the same way his dad did, just fucking kill them. It doesn't matter. Kill them with no remorse because they're the bad guys and whatnot. When he saves them in the gas station, he didn't save them because he wanted to. He saved them because he wanted something from them. So when they get in that gas station and the gas is hovering up at the top, and the infected come in, he shoots it and it all explodes and he kills a bunch of the infected. And when they get out of the gas station, Eric's like, I'm from Sweden, blah, blah, blah. Where we go from here? And of course, Spike's like, I don't know. This is my second time on this fucking island, or this is my second time on the mainland. I don't know. I'm just going to a doctor, trying to get my mom a doctor. And he wanted to leave her right off the bat because he's like, what's wrong with her? Get the fuck on. I'm leaving. I'm out of here. So he was the same kind of kill or be killed kind of mentality. And come to find out, they have like the conversation. And this is where
this is my
when
favorite part.
when they're on the picnic table, you have this conversation between the three. Eric is trying to tell Spike about the internet and cell phones and those sort of things.
Can I mention this? Someone in the post was like, why the fuck is there a cell phone? I'm like, did you just not listen to the whole entire story of the infections, like only in like the UK area? Everywhere else in the world is like non-infected.
Yeah, that's the quarantine zone is up in the UK, because at the very beginning it has outbreak started in the UK. It got pushed back, and the military funneled it back in. And then it kind of re-outbroke, so they just quarantined the whole fucking thing. And everybody else is just living their own regular life. It's just like within the UK, that portion of it, which kind of fucked up also, that they were just like, let them fend for themselves, whatever, who cares? You know what I mean?
Especially when Eric said if you step foot here, like you can't get out, like you're stuck here.
Yeah, once you set foot on the mainland, you're done. And when like, oh, what did he say? Oh, um, why does she keep calling you dad? Oh, she's just confused, yada yada. And he goes, who are you? He's like, that's Eric. He goes, and this is your dad, Spike. she, she's like, he's like, oh, mom, he's just joking. He's like, sounds like a dickhead. I know a dickhead when I see one.
Erica looks over at her, cut like, what the
Yeah.
fuck? I thought you were like losing your shit or something.
And like I said, it's funny because he turns out to be a dickhead. Like I said, because this is a scene that I kind of heard other people talk about, and it actually makes a lot of sense. The train scene when they're walking and they hear. So before then, you see a bunch of infected in the water, kind of washing off and whatever, and you see a fucking pregnant infected.
I love it. The affected, they don't take showers.
Yeah,
They're involved.
And you see this pregnant one, and you're like, what the fuck? First off, who did it? Second of all, how?
I think I know who done it.
You definitely know. So they get to this train, they hear the screaming, and they hear the screaming. So they go to investigate, and the mom gets on the train first, and she sees this infected pregnant woman. And they kind of mentioned, like, this was a scene, kind of how I told you, everybody has like this sense of the infected have no mentality, they have no function, they have nothing in there, they're just dead and gone. This is where it shows that no, they actually have an ability to kind of
Have human traits.
have human traits and kind of go past the rage. Because when she's sitting there, she realized, Isla realized, oh shit, she's pregnant, she's all alone, which happens a lot more than you think. Women going through pregnancy alone and giving birth alone, it happens all the time. So she's like, I can't, even though she's infected, I can't let another woman go through this by themselves. So she does the little hand thing, and the infected ended up holding their hands, and they deliver the baby. and the infected is just kind of passed out, and they're looking at the baby, knowing that the baby isn't infected because it's protected within the mother's placenta. And, it's just one of those things where it's kind of, it could go either way on the reality standpoint of it, but I'm sure it's going to be touched later on in the other movies. But here's where Eric being a dickhead again, the fucking infected wakes up, he blasts her, and he's like, put the fucking zombie baby down, or I'm gonna shoot you. And he has no.
And Spike steps in front of her.
Yeah, and Spike steps in front of her again. I'm gonna protect my mom, and now, of course, this baby, showing his humanity and his growth as a man and as a person. And he's like, she's not infected. You could see her eyes, and he doesn't care. He's got that, I'm going to kill anybody in my way so I don't die kind of thing. And he's backing up. And then, right as he started backing up, I was like, you're dead, dude. You're dead. And fucking right out the top. And his fucking the alpha jumps down with his fucking skull in his hand. And then
you want. I started laughing at this part.
And
so
then
either when they run as Samson's running.
Yeah. Oh.
You can hear it, right? Yeah, you can hear it.
Oh, yeah. Let's just say these alphas are packing,
Yeah, especially Mr. Sampson.
Yeah. I mean, you might as well have casted a baby elephant in this role.
I'm like, dude.
But when and here's what I think is crazy, because the baby isn't infected. The baby is totally fine. Samson sees the pregnant infected and goes and looks up and sees that they have the baby. And he just went full on, I'm going to turn that baby into an infected. That is my baby, that kind of thing. Kind of like that primal dad thing. You know what I'm saying?
Because like you can't just kill my lady. You got my baby. You
Yeah.
double pissed me off.
So kind of that, I don't want to say toxic father trait, like, you know, that kind of like how Aaron Taylor Johnson character is, but it kind of has that same kind of tone. Like that baby isn't infected and could be there, but you know, he's infected. So, but that was his baby for sure.
No, to be honest, I love how he's just chasing after them with Eric's head.
With his fucking head, yeah.
Still insane. I'm like, what the fuck?
And when they get out of the trailer or out of the train trailer, train car is what it is. It was cool because you're thinking, oh shit, this is not good. Like, how is he going to stop this fucking thing? And then this is when we get fucking Ray Fiennes' character. And I enjoyed Ray Fiennes' character.
His character, to be honest, the whole entire thing we thought this movie was going to be, total tone shift.
Yeah.
Because you know how they thought he was the crazy deluge
thing?
In the trailer, it makes it look like he is.
Yeah. Because he's discolored. He's, you know, come to find out he rubs iodine. Oh, and as Samson's running after him, he fucking blow darts him with a combination of morphine and ketamine or some shit. So it knocked him out like super quick. And what I thought was, I guess, funny in a way, where he's just kind of talking to him, looking at him as he's dazed. He's like, okay, Samson, I'm going to go ahead and take this from you now, and takes Eric's skull away. And I'm just like, okay.
Spike's reaction is funny. You kind of look at like, what the fuck's wrong with you? He's like, Spike? Or, yeah, no, Spike. He's like, Samson. He's like, yeah. It's like, I named this was Samson. Like,
yeah.
Yep.
So, and it's like, he's been out there for, they said almost 3 decades, you know, just surviving. And he thought, you know, I would die either from starvation or whatever, but he's still just going. And then when we get to the actual Bone Temple, I thought it was fucking great.
The design, I love the design.
I thought the design was great. I thought the messaging behind it was fantastic, of never forget the dead or always remember the dead. What is that Latin phrase? Memento mori.
Memento mori.
Yeah. And, you know, you have that
kind of like life. Always live life.
It was remember you must die, or remember death.
Yes.
And you kind of go, and yeah, they painted him out to be the crazy person, just cremating and burning bodies for no reason and just whatever. And then when it pans up and you see all the people that he has crossed paths with, infected or not, he put them in the Bone Temple, because we are all the same in a way. In the funeral, in the fucking, we bury, excuse me, we've buried people in the same ground from different backgrounds, from different time periods, you know, but we're all part of one thing, and that's living and dying.
The circle of life.
Yeah, we're all one in that sense. So I liked how, excuse me, it wasn't just the infected that he put in the Bone Temple. It was infected, or not just living people. It was infected as well. And it was just, you got to remember everybody in death, whether good, bad, ugly, whatever. I thought it was like a pretty cool message.
And he shows that with Eric.
Yeah, and he shows it with Eric, where he cremates him, and had his own cremation kind of tent and whatnot. And he goes, here you go, give him a good spot, and we'll remember Eric. And I thought it was really cool. I just thought it was a cool thing. And the next part was fucking emotional as hell.
Because he asked Spike, he's like, why are you guys here? He's like, you guys here just to, like, was it bring Eric here? He's like, no.
Yeah.
No, to know why the affection happened or know about me. They're like, no. Spike's like, I need a cure from my mom. She's sick.
Yeah. And it goes into him doing the exam and going into the particulars, and that's when you're just like, oh shit, you know.
I knew there was something up. I'm gonna ask you this. When he was doing these exams, and he's like, and he touches her breast, and he's like, "Is this tender?" She says no, but you can tell by her face.
Yeah, she winces, and my wife picked up on it because when she started like having nosebleeds and stuff after the little episodes, because I asked my wife after the fact, I was like, did you think that it was cancer? Like, what did you think? And she's like, I knew it had to be something as far as that's concerned. She's like, I went with cancer because of the nosebleeds and how it was kind of doing. I was like, yeah, I thought it was Alzheimer's with her fucking, you know, not remembering anything and then coming in and out, that type of thing. But when they finally got the word of it and them explaining to Spike that there's no cure, there's no way that we can save your mom, and his reaction of, well, there's got to be something. His whole plan was to make sure that his mom was safe and cured, and he couldn't let that go. He couldn't let his obsession with that and the love that he had for his mom go. And when she fucking, oh my God, it broke my heart. When they're hugging, they're hugging the baby, you know, and she looks at fucking Ray Fiennes' character and does the little slow nod. I'm like, oh shit. I was like, it's gonna happen right fucking now. And she basically gave the okay that she's going to protect Spike one last time, and she's going to basically take herself out so he can have a closure and send her on her way. And damn it, was it sad, but it was beautiful at the same time, because he ends up blow darting Spike with the morphine to calm him down, because they knew that if she just said, hey, I need you to fucking cremate me now, he was going to push back and not do it. Just like he stepped in the way of Eric with the fucking gun. He stepped in front of his mom with the fucking the infected, you know what I mean? Yeah. He was always there to protest his mom's safety. And
what gets me is with this scene is like Ray Fiennes' character shoots him with the morphine, right? He's calming down and everything, and she hands off the baby to Spike, and I knew there was something wrong. I thought there was a chance that what happened, but I'm like, it was just lost the words right there.
Yeah, because they both were on the same mission to protect each other, but one knew that she had to allow him to let her go, even if he didn't want to. So she took the matters into her own hands, and then they walk into the further into the night in the Bone Temple, and he shoots her with a dart, and then he comes back.
Did he shoot her with a poison dart?
I don't know if it was. He shot her with a dart to basically cut the lights off, and then he comes back with the skull, as he did with all the others. But this is when the sun is kind of coming up, and he says, "Okay, find the best spot for her." And then that's when he looked at her skull, looked at him I don't remember Ray Fiennes' character's name, but looked at Ray Fiennes And he goes and just kind of does the same thing he did with his mom, the little silent nod, like, yes, it's time to send her, it's time to let her go. And he
Let's
climbs
pick-
all the way to the top and puts that on there, puts her skull on the very top of the pile and looks off into the sunrise. And you could tell at that point that he knew what he was meant to be in that aspect, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because then it goes into the baby, and here comes the alpha again, rushing through. That shit was terrifying. Him running through those damn pillars. Absolutely terrifying. And they get one last intense face off with one of these alphas, and they get under the ground. And did you think Ray Fiennes was done with?
Yes, I thought he was.
Dude, I
I thought I was going. I thought we were going to see. Yeah, I thought we were going to see.
we were going to see that, and my wife was like, "Oh shit, he's going to break him in half!" Like trying to get him through, because they're underground in like this little cellar thing, and the alpha's trying to get to the baby, and then he leaves the little opening grate, and then just breaks through the whole earth, which is fucking crazy. But then Spike, on another part of his journey, didn't just hide and wait. He was like, he assessed it. He goes, "Oh shit, here's a morphine dart." Stuck it in the arm.
I love that he's stuck.
He's just like, "Oh shit, boom," and stuck him in the arm. And I was like, "Holy shit!"
And he just sliced her up like, okay, this dude's going to come out of nowhere, jump scared, just like,
dude, yeah. And and then it was like this perfect like send off kind of thing. Like you knew now Spike kind of had a feeling of how the mainland worked, and he had this like final message that he needed to send to his dad. And then this is where it's kind of a little far-fetched, because if you're a parent, you know babies are fucking loud. He walked that whole baby from the Bone Temple all the way back to the island when carrying her in a shopping cart.
First of all, where's the shopping cart come from? Kind of.
I know, right? But it's like,
does Ray Fiennes have a shopping cart in the Bone Temple?
Like that baby would have been screaming and crying because one, hungry, two, just being a baby, but he makes it all the way back to the island and puts it back in the they get they get back to the island, and he kind of just and you see it like
you see him on the mountainside.
Yeah, you see him on the mountain looking at the
valley.
The valley, and then there starts the narration of a letter, and you're just like, oh, okay, is this where we're ending? And it's basically saying, this is what we did, kind of going over everything in his journey. And then he says,
that's when the baby is crying in the background, the villagers.
Yeah. And they hear it, and they come, and they're like, this was dropped off at the front gate, and there's a little note inside, and it says, and right as he reads it, the ending narration is like, be kind to her. Her name is Isla. So tell me this, right? I find this amazing and petty at the same time, because he named that baby Isla because he wanted his dad to still remember his mom, because he didn't care about his mom for the longest because he was cheating and doing all that stuff. And so he named that baby his mom's name to one as a last send off, like, this is where you needed to be, and this is your passage through. But also I think it was just to be petty for his dad. What do you think?
I think that, but I think it's also a message of mom's dead.
Yeah.
And I think there's two things. I think this is why he runs towards the water. One, because his son was there and he didn't come back to him. And two, it's kind of the phrase of you don't really miss somebody till they're gone.
Yeah.
And he knows
100%.
now that Isla's not there anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense because and I think this and yeah, I don't think that he ran off into the water for his son. I think he ran off for himself because he realized his son didn't need him no more. His son was totally done with him. So it kind of like that ego trip kind of thing, you know, like if I can get back to him out front, I'm going to make him stay with me kind of deal. You know what I mean?
I didn't think of that. I actually didn't think of that.
Because, I mean, it could be just for him, you know, wanting him back and whatnot. But I feel like there's the whole time with Jamie, he had this like, when it came to his son, he had like this superiority God complex to himself that he wanted to make him be who he was kind of thing. So I don't know if he did it because his son rejected him and that's why he ran off because he wanted to try to keep him. But I loved how he did the send off. And when he's fucking cooking the fish and whatnot on the side, I'm like, okay, he wants to search this mainland and find himself.
Yeah.
And that's what I loved about this whole coming of age style of infection film. And then when he sees the one as he's cooking the fish, he sees the fucking infected. I was like, okay, what's going to happen now? And when he drew that bow back nice and stiff and then just boom, right in the head, I was like, okay, he found out who he was. And he found out the type of person he needs to be to survive in this mainland.
Yeah, I think that is absolutely correct. Because he's sitting there. It's kind of like, even though he's been here a couple of days, he kind of like knows what to do now. Like he's not only trying to survive, but he's escaping. Like not escaping, but like um looking at the land, like
Yeah.
trying to evaluate. There we go. That's the word.
Yeah.
Evaluate like his surroundings, everything, because he knows he's out there with the infected now.
Yeah.
And he knew he could take one, but when those others came, he knew he was kind of fucked. And once he got to the blockade area,
Yeah.
this is what
he started. And before we get to the last part, because I know that's everybody's make or break it, I loved how, so with Spike, you have two send-offs, right? You have him letting go of his mother, who he loved for and cared for, and went to literally hell and back to try to save her. And he had that release of her when he put the skull on the mountain or on the top of the tower. And he also let his dad go by bringing the baby back, setting it there, and leaving. He put that part of him away as well. He said, I'll come back when I'm ready. And that is another thing that you do as a man when you see the people you deem as heroes not being who they are, acknowledging that and saying, listen, I don't need you anymore. I don't need to look up to you anymore. You're not my Power Ranger action figure anymore. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So him leaving the Power Ranger action figure at the beginning, saying that I need to become a man, and then him leaving his dad, which he deems as a superhero, because what kid doesn't look up to their dad as a superhero? It all just comes full circle, and I fucking loved it. And I love this ending so fucking much. I loved how outrageous it was. And looking into a little bit of the behind the scenes, it makes a lot of sense. So lead off.
I love this. I absolutely love this. So Spike is stuck by the blockade, and then all of a sudden you hear a voice. It's it's Mr. Jack O'Connell comes out of nowhere. Tracksuit, blonde wig, some ugly ass teeth, and then he's like, "Hey, laddie," and you look at me, and you see the cross, and you
Yep.
know it is Jimmy when he was younger,
Yep.
and he's like, "Do you need help?" He's like, "Nah." He's like, "Are you sure?" He's like, "Okay." He's like, "Okay, guys." And this is my favorite part. This is my favorite part of the whole thing. He's like, "Hold." You see the things. You're like, "Hold." I'm thinking, is he gonna say go? Then he's like, "Fucking go." I'm about busting out laughing when he said, "Fucking go."
Yeah. And what I fucking really liked about, what I love about, I thought it was just great because I felt like it was a great setup for what's coming with what's coming in the Bone Temple. Because one, not only with the casting of Jack O'Connell, but just the mannerisms that he had, and the whole thing. He's like, we should be friends. He's the most horrible person in this fucking world, because then you see him stringing up the infected. So you see these things that have been alluded to prior, that these are the fucking bad people that they're talking about in the mainland. These are the crazy people, not the fucking doctor that they tried to play off as, the crazy person. No, it's fucking Jimmy and Jimmy's crew.
The Jimmy's.
The Jimmy crew. And I liked how when you see the chain with the cross, instead of it being the right way to devout your following to Christ, it's flipped upside down. And that could be, the devil, yourself, whatever you want to deem it as. It basically he changed the meaning of that fucking piece of jewelry. It wasn't what his dad wanted to, but he's still holding on to that because he's still holding on to his dad and his fucking ridiculous cult-like thing. You know what I mean? This is what this is what God wanted us to be. So you have on one side Spike letting go of his dad and his issues, his daddy issues, but then you have Jimmy, who is the complete opposite, is still stuck with his dad and still stuck with that mind frame. Because I forgot I can't remember exactly what he was saying. He goes, "You need to remember this," at the beginning of the movie, when he's talking to Jimmy, when he's like, "Dad, we got to go. He's like, "Nope, this is what it needs. This is what you need to remember." And he's telling him, like, you need to remember this forever. And then he sees his dad just get infected and all that shit. So he's holding on to his dad, when obviously it's not a good thing that he's holding on to his dad, because his dad was fucking nuts.
Yeah, true.
And go ahead.
You can keep on going.
I was going to say, Ed, I come to find out that the way this was written, it goes into a actual, like, real person. The Jack O'Connell's character, and like the track suits and stuff. I guess it's supposedly supposed to have it connected with Jimmy Savvy?
Jimmy
Seville, yeah, which was a old British media radio personality.
So our equivalent to Jimmy Savile is Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, because he would always visit hospitals. Everybody loved him. He was on the radio and TV. What was it? It was Jimmy Fixes It or something was the show. Like, he was just that guy. But he was a fucked up human being. He died in 2009, I think. But a bunch of stuff came out about him where he was a molester of adults and kids. Like, he just has a rap sheet, and all this shit came out. So he had a cult-like following. So I think with and he wore a tracksuit with long white hair, jewelry, and so that character of Jimmy was in light with that. And the fucking cult members and his crew are just like cult members. They're going to do what he says when he says. And so I think Spike is now in even more trouble with Jimmy than by himself.
Okay, this is where I'm going to go with it. So, if you look at Spike's journey, right? He has grown up. He's not a young boy anymore. He's become a young man. The thing with Jimmy is he's stuck with it. He never grew up. So, if you look, it's 2002 because, of course, it's technically 2000 because if they do it from like the year 2025, wait, no, that would be 97. Unless if it's the year two, unless if it's 2030, but 2002 is when 28 days later happened. So there's a lot of things. One, before the infection happened, Jimmy Savile wasn't dead yet. So they was never known about Jimmy Savile being this pedophile. And with the whole entire thing, I think of the colors also. It's the Teletubbies because that's the last thing Jimmy saw before everything happened. And two, I think Power Rangers was big at the time. So not only Power Rangers to him, but I think Power Rangers also, just in Spike's mind, of having an action figure and seeing this because he's the only person on this island, Spike was, but now he's found somebody. But the problem thing is with this whole entire thing, and especially what they're doing with like Jimmy Savile, and like I think as just we see the things over time with what Jimmy and his whole entire crew has done, not only to the effect but the measures on the side of the building and everything, it shows that Spike is in a dark place, that this group is very dark, even though they have some comedic tones at the beginning, that this will be the darkest character and darkest group in this whole entire trilogy.
Yeah. And I want to go back to, like you said, Teletubbies and Power Rangers and stuff like that. Yeah, it's shot like a fucking Power Ranger episode, which I dug. And I love how it tied back with Spike's, Power Ranger figure. So you have, like you just said, you have Spike who is kind of went through, and I don't want to say graduate because that's not the right word, but he has elevated himself into a young man. He kind of sees
he sees the world
differently. Jimmy is still a fucking kid. He's still living in the past with his dad and with the remembrance of his dad and that sort of thing. So they're both going and have dealt with past with their fathers, but they both dealt with them differently, and they both have different outlooks on life. Jimmy is a fucking psychopath. Spike is
he's learning. He's just learning right now.
Yeah, he's learning. He's a compassionate person. He sees there's more to people and this world than just infection, kill or be killed kind of thing. And I think that the 28 day circle between 28 days and this one, the infected really aren't the bad guys.
It's the people.
It's the people within the movie. Because you get to this one, you see how they are. And then in the first one, in 28 days, you think, oh, the infected are bad. But then you get to that fucking army house or army base, and they've got one strung up. They're trying to rape and, take advantage of the women and kill the men that they come across, Like, the human beings are the biggest assholes in these movies. They are the biggest villains in this movie.
Oh, especially 28 weeks, big assholes in that one.
Yeah, that goes with another one as far as like a self-service person. The dad fucking booked it. He was like, "I'm leaving you, lady," and
Or if
ran.
you, I was going to ask you also with that, not only with the dad, but the sister at the very end. She's kind of self-centered because, of course, the ending of 28 Weeks Later, the brother is immune to the infection, but he's a carrier, and
Yeah,
she brings him on the helicopter, and they get out of the whole entire affected area, and that's how it starts spreading all over the place.
yeah, exactly. Because then at the end of that one, you see them running in front. Excuse me, in the front of the Eiffel Tower, and it
So was
just.
that because of him, where they transferred him over, or did it just get out there? Because
I
I was
think it.
confused on that one.
Yeah, I think it just kind of spread initially, but with him being a carrier, it's going to spread just like how it did with that, just like how it did with his mom. One little kiss, and then. But it just shows that human beings in this universe are the biggest fucking problem, because the rage virus wouldn't have gotten out if those fucking vegans wouldn't have been fucking douchebags and listen, because they just thought, oh, they're experimenting on these animals. No, the animals are fucking sick. You need to get off your fucking high horse and don't open this drawer, or don't open this fucking cage. What do? They think they have this God complex, that they're the best, that they're doing what is needed in this world, and they end up fucking it all up. Sorry.
No, you're good. That's what you're saying.
The beginning of 28 Days Later with the rage virus, with the monkey, pisses me off every time I watch it because of that. Because he's literally telling you, don't do that. These chimps are fucked up. They are infected. Don't do it. And they think that they're all high and mighty, and that they're going to fucking be animal justices, and they end up fucking everything up. And then same thing with the second one. You have them, the military comes in, they got this quarantine going, everything's working good. You have the dad going, oh shit, you survived. Oh my God. Selfish again. I'm going to kiss you because I haven't kissed you so long. And then boom, infected. And what he does with his wife, fucking busting her shit up while she's on the goddamn table.
Yeah. I'm like, what the fuck?
Doesn't he eye her? Doesn't he
Oh
eye
yeah.
her? Yeah.
He got what you try. So I'm like, oh.
Yeah. It's just human beings in general are terrible in the whole spectrum. But I loved how it was the ending of this one was over the top, comedic. I feel like it's going to have that. I'm not going to say it's going to be a comedic tone in the next one, but I feel like, just think of like some of the most sinister characters that we have in film and art. You have the Joker, who's comedic, who is laughing and joking, but he is the most sick and deranged person in that whole universe.
This is a great example for that. Heath Ledger's.
Yeah, you have just, yeah, and then you have, if you want to go into horror, you have a Freddy type where he's laughing and joking and punchlines, one-liners, but he's one of the most sinister fucking slashers that we have
Or
in
Chucky.
the horror. Yeah, or Chucky, same thing, laughing and joking, and you know what? But he will literally kill the shit out of you. So I get why they did that tone switch at the end, and I know why people didn't like it, but I fucking loved it, and it hit for me.
So my problem with this is not with the ending, just the future. Is that the Bone Temple is not directed by Daniel Boyle. It's directed by Nia DaCosta.
What did he do before? I can't.
No, Nia DaCosta, she directed
Oh yeah,
Candyman
sorry.
from
Yeah,
2021 and the Marvels. But Candyman
yeah.
2021 is good, then the Marvels is not that great. So it's like you can, but if you look at the horror element, she done good in that. But it's
Yeah,
like, but if you want to talk about a tone shift, can she do what Daniel Boyle did, or is it going to be take everything comedy out of Jack O'Connell and just made him like kind of like what Coogler did with him in Sinners,
yeah.
like a little comedic, like a little comedy with him with Remick, but like
Yeah.
mean as fuck.
Well, yeah. And I mean, think of what she did in the Candyman requel or whatever it's considered in the 2021. There were still some comedic tones in that. You know what I mean? The joking about the Candyman disease, and he just kind of, there was that little bit of humor in there, but it wasn't like a over the top type humor. And then they were able to get that dark and sinister look. I think she's going to do great as far as that's concerned. And I don't know who's going to be, executive producing this one or not.
Garland's writing the script.
Huh?
Garland's writing the script for it.
Okay. So, and like I said, I'm with you. I trust Alex Garland as a writer. I fucking love his stuff. And so I think I'm just as excited for the next one as I was this one.
So this one's already shot. It's already ready to go because it has the release date of June 16th. Not June, July 6th. No, not January 16th.
Yeah.
Damn, I'm all over the place. So it's ready to go. So my question is, do they keep the release date of June 6th? Oh, fuck it. They might move it to June 6th. I just meant that's the move it to June 16th, even though that's not Friday.
Well, I would say I would want them to. Will they? We don't know, but I would love them to keep the release date. One, because we need more early year good horror.
If you also think of this as like January kind, they put like the stuff that don't do great. What about if they put there because people assume Nia DaCosta and they're like, oh yeah, it might not be as good.
There could be something like that as far as where they may be, I don't want to say hedging their bet a little bit because you never know, but she's a talented filmmaker. Like I said, 2021's Candyman was fantastic. May even be the best in that franchise. And then,
and do you also think?
Yeah, the Marvels didn't do so well as far as numbers wise, but I mean that movie itself had a lot of fucking issues with it itself. Not from the movie itself and the directorial spot, but just people. They didn't want a female-led stuff. There was just a lot of stuff going on with that.
And I think was it the strikes like really hurt that promotion of that film entire thing?
Yeah. So I think it's going to be fine, and I think that she's going to do a great job. And then, regardless, this one already made $60 million this week or this weekend.
That's another question I was going to ask. Is do you think they're keeping it to keep it fresh in people's minds, so it's not drug out? They would be like, "Oh yeah, how long is this going to take?" And they're not going to remember anything by the time it comes out if they push it to like next June or July. Yeah. But also, Boyle has said they kind of need the money to make the third one. So if you pump it, boom, boom, you see the results, and you can see if you can do this third one.
Yeah, because it cost them. I just looked it up. It cost them $75 million to make this one. They already made $60 million the first weekend. Okay. So I think with that plus promotion, in order to break even, they probably got to make around 150. You know what I mean? I think this movie's going to make 250. I think, because a lot of people will go off of Rotten Tomatoes, which it has a 91% right now. I think a lot of people will go off of the name itself. I mean, we're talking about it right now. It's been the talk of the internet this last weekend. So I think that it's going to be a success regardless. And then with that one, with the Boneyard or Bone Temple, I think people are still going to be intrigued. Even if they didn't like this one, they're going to be like, okay, what the fuck was that ending about? How does it play out? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think that's what people need to think is if they don't like the ending, watch the next one, and it
Yeah.
will probably help out that ending.
Because a lot of endings are for the next one if they're set up to be a trilogy, which this one's already set up to be. So, of course, they're not going to give everything on this one.
Ooh, good thing I just thought of. What about if this is a ploy? That this whole entire goofiness and everything from Jimmy and his Jimmys is that we see this young kid. Let's act like a little kiddish and everything. Bring this kid in, right?
Yeah.
But then turn on his fucking head and then be the worst motherfuckers they have ever seen.
Yeah. I think I could see that. Like I said, I liked the ending. I know it was a different tone shift, but I feel like when you look into it and you see the correlation of the actual cultist crime guy in Jimmy Seville.
His name's just Jimmy. Oh no, you talking about the real life one?
Yeah, the real guy.
Yeah, Jimmy Seville.
Yeah. And it's like it's got a deeper meaning of it. Even I saw a video of somebody reacting to Danny Boyle saying that Alex Garland sent him that section of the script, and he said that he loved it and it was one of the most unique and innovative writing since The Clockwork Orange.
You know, a lot of people hate that. Just them comparing that movie to A Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, and I get it. That's a classic. I mean, Stanley Kubrick, I get it. But for a filmmaker to say, no, I love this, and to put it in there and do what he did, I think regardless, you can respect a filmmaker for swinging for that fence. You know what I mean? At least I do.
To be honest with you, and it's weird because it's two Jack O'Connell movies. It's the same thing Coogler did with Sinners. He took inspirations from other movies and he made it into his script, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, this reminded me of From Dusk Till Dawn. It reminded me of this, that." But it's like he took inspirations from it and made it into his own thing.
Yeah.
And that's what probably Garland did too. But not only The Clockwork Orange, but you got to add these other things into this also.
Yeah. But I think it's great. I don't see the heavy. I don't see why the heavy discourse on. But everybody interprets it different. Everybody gets hit different emotions watching film. This one, it hit for me in every section I could think of.
Another thing I want to talk about is how is Cillian Murphy's character Jim's going to be evolved in this whole
Man,
entire thing? Because
dude,
he's supposed to have a smaller role in the second one, but a bigger role in the third one.
yeah, I'm not sure because I don't know if this timeline. I saw somebody talk about the timeline's going to be different. Like the Bone Temple is technically supposed to happen prior to 28 years. Is that how it is, or are people just? I don't know chronologically the order of this timeline.
No. I think was it 28 days, weeks. I think it's just goes straight forward.
That's what I was thinking, but then I saw
I'm
some people
wondering
about it. But
I'm wondering if wait, what about if Jim is with the Jimmies?
yeah,
Because he is Jim.
yeah,
Or what about if the Jimmies tried to find this person named Jim and they go find Jim?
yeah. That could be a way to incorporate him in there. I didn't think about that at all. But I'm wondering how it's going to be reprised. But because I'm trying to think of how it. Because at the end of 28 days, Jim lets the infected out in the army house and basically kills.
He kills everybody. It's because at the very
And
end, it's when him. Oh, I forgot
I
the
forgot her
girl,
name.
the
Fuck.
girl and the woman. They're in the field, and the aircraft comes by
Yeah, and
because
it's
there is a help.
SOS. Or
Yes,
yeah,
it's we need help there. So I'm wondering if it's a base they're on,
yeah,
or two, if they have figured out if Jim has figured out what the cure is for this, and they are try to go to the base.
yeah.
And my only problem is I'm hoping they don't do this. We're going to go back to the baby.
Oh,
People have wondered, which is stupid if it does, if the baby will be the cure for the whole entire virus.
oh,
Because the baby came out infected, and what about if it has a little bit in it? It's kind of like 28 weeks, like the carrier, even though both the baby
yeah,
carrier is kind of like, what about if he could be the cure to the.
yeah. It's going to be interesting how they play it out. Like I said, I'm already. I want to go see. I want to see it again. So
I do too. It's just such a good movie, and when that theme hits at the end
yeah,
of from when Spike is sitting on the mountain to before the Jimmies come along,
dude, the the
that thing's so good.
the soundtrack is so good in this goddamn movie. Even in the whole series is great, or the whole three are great in my opinion.
So is that mostly it for you for 28 years later?
Yeah, yeah.
So before we head off, let's share our rankings with the people of the trilogy so far. So we're going to snake back and forward. So if you want to start out with your third one.
Man, it's so tough because I like all three. I think I'm going to go with Weeks.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Weeks also.
And then second, call it recency bias, but I'm going to put 28 Days at number 2.
I'm going with Days of number 2.
And then I'm going to put Years at number 1. I love
Yes.
the layers. I love the layers. I love the storytelling, how it plays out. Just something about this one was just so. I mean, I love all of them. I don't think there's a bad movie in this franchise, but this one just hit a little different and struck a few other chords for me.
Yeah, this one was Weeks is iffy for me. Days, I really enjoy it. First, I thought I was not gonna like it. Then, after watching it, I like it. And this
Yeah,
one I really love. Like I hold it up there with like if you look at my top three, this is one of the ones that is not going to get out of the top 10 this year.
yeah, because
And I think this will get better on rewatches also.
yeah, definitely because 28 Days is my favorite zombie movie of all time. Now with this one, I'm going to have to reshuffle and rewatch a few things.
But is that mostly it for you?
That's it for me, man.
That is it for me also. So, guys, thank you for listening to us babble about 28 years later. Let us know down in the comments what you guys think about the movie. If you guys like it, if you guys didn't like it, tell us why you didn't like it. I kind of want to get some discourse down in the comments because, of course, me and Goobs and Going are separate YouTube pages, or if we post on social media and you guys want to talk about it on social media also during the post, we can talk about it through our personal stuff also. But if you guys like this episode and you're watching the video, hit the like button. If you guys want to stay with us, hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell notification. It would tell you guys whenever we post episodes and when I post clips of the podcast. And if you guys want to listen to the audio version on Spotify or Apple, give us a 5-star rating. Hit that follow button if you guys want to stay with us. And follow us on our social medias. We're on TikTok and Instagram. For the podcast page, me and Goobs got our own stuff. I'll post that down below in the comments also. But next week's episode, we normally don't do this unless if it's reviews, but I want to let you guys know next week we are going to be doing our top 10 mid-year of the was it halfway through the year top 10 of 2025 so far. So we're going to be talking about a lot of movies. So if you guys want to catch up on a lot of the 2025 horror movies that have released this year, so you guys can watch the episode because we're probably going to go spoilers and stuff of certain movies. But guys, with that being said, I hope you guys have a great day, and we'll see you guys next Tuesday.
Bye.